Hey friends, welcome back. Today we're going to discuss creation. More specifically, we're going to talk about automated creation, or an automation that leads to creation, which some people might describe as evolution, but we're not going to get into that. To be specific, we're going to go ahead and use a trigger in an automated action to kick off our execute code to create a new record inside of Odoo. Now you may remember in my other video that I talked about how the base creation method on automated actions is pretty limited. So instead of using that, we're going to use execute code to execute some Python code. We're going to use the create method to create a record inside of there, which is much more robust. There's far more we can do with it here. So let's go ahead and get into it. There's nothing to be scared of. I'll be with you every step of the way, and you'll be super happy that you learned this by the end. We're going to base our automated action today off of sales and the status change. If you're not sure how to set up your trigger properly for this, go ahead and go back and watch my other video on triggers just to make sure you're up to speed. So let's go ahead and hop into Studio here. We're going to go to Automations and New. We've set up our trigger here to be on save. It's going to say the sales order wasn't confirmed before, and now it is confirmed afterwards. So that's going to be our trigger. So we've got our trigger. Let's talk about what we want to do with it. So in our company, we have a lot of customers who aren't particularly happy. We find that our follow-up isn't that great, and we want to have a focus to get to 100% customer satisfaction. To have that focus, we don't necessarily want to drive this through activities in our sales orders. We want to be able to see our salespeople following up with their customers within 2 days after the order is finished. So we've created a project called 100% Customer Satisfaction. Inside of that project, we're going to have tasks for our salespeople to reach out to the customer, see how the customer feels about it, and see what we can do to make them happier. So the best way to do this is to go in and add an action. We're going to execute code, and then we're going to build this out to create that new task under the specific project with the salesperson assigned to it. So we're going to use what's called the create method inside of Odoo. With the create method, this portion right here defines the model that we want to create a record in. So we want to create it in project.task. In a separate view here, we're looking at our tasks inside of this project, and you can see up in the URL, we get this project.task, which is what we want to copy and put right here. Once we have the model set up, we want to start defining the attributes or fields that we want to set when we're creating this record. So I find the easiest way to do this, we're going to go ahead and go in, and we're going to edit a task, and we're going to go into Studio so we can grab the technical name for these fields so that we can set them. First, we're going to go in and we're going to grab the stage ID. So you see the technical name right here. We copy that. Bring it over here, make sure it's inside of apostrophes, followed by a colon, and then right here, we're going to put what we want to set the stage ID as. So coming back over, we're going to want to duplicate this tab, and we're going to want to find the stage ID real quick. So let's close out of this. We're going to go to Configuration, Task Stages, okay, and we have this 100% customer satisfaction down here. We're going to go into To Do, okay, and view it. And up here, we should be able to see the ID of the record that we're wanting to tie our stage ID to, which is 43. So we'll go ahead and put that 43 there, a comma, and now we're on to our next field. So we want to assign this to our salesperson, right? So we're going to grab user IDs, copy that, bring it back over here, apostrophe, user IDs, colon, and now we need to find what our salesperson is here. So let's go out to our third tab. We're going to go in, look at a sales order real quick so we can grab this information. So we're going to click in, go to Studio, go to Other Info, and our salesperson is the user ID. So copy that. Now we're calling a field from our current record. If we're going to do that, we need to put record dot and then the field so that we get that value from the current record. So we're going to type record dot, then paste our technical value. And because we want the value of the ID off of this record, we're going to do dot ID to make sure this works properly. Then a comma, and we're on to our next field. Now I said that you want to add dot ID at the end, and that is generally true if you're trying to set the value of a many to one. But in this instance, our user IDs are a many-to-many, so we actually don't want the .id there. Now we're going to need our project, so we're going to go here, go to settings, okay? And inside of here, we're looking at an ID of 16 for this project. So we'll come back in, go here. We're going to make sure that we're pointing this at the right direction, in the right direction, I should say. So we want it to be project ID that we're setting here. So project ID, then a colon, and then we're going to say that the project ID, oops, I need to go back to the project to grab that real quick. So come back here, 16. Project ID is 16. And to try and keep this brief, we only really need 2 more fields. So we want to set a deadline, and we want to set a description here. So the deadline, let's go ahead and grab date deadline, making sure to pay attention to what type of field this is. So we need to look at it real quick. Deadline is a date time. So we'll need a date and time value for this. So let's come back here. We're going to say date deadline, colon, and then we're going to go ahead and manipulate a date. So the first part of this is going to be date time dot date time dot now. That gives us the current time and date. And we're going to add a little time to this with a function called time delta. So we do date time dot time delta, and we're going to say we're going to give our employees 3 days to finish this. So from the point that the sale order is confirmed, we're going to add 3 days to give us our deadline. Now let's grab our description real quick. So our description is description. That's super helpful. And we're just going to say, please follow, and we need to make this a string. So we're going to say, please follow up with the customer and see if there is anything else they need. And actually, we need one more thing. We're going to go ahead and grab the name because it's required, okay? So for the name, we're actually going to do a little concatenation here, which is just combining strings. So we're going to say customer follow-up or, and then we're going to add the sales order name. So we're going to say record.name here. So there's our code in all its glory. It's going to create a new record in project.task when we confirm a sales order, and it's going to have all of these values. So let's go ahead and save our automated action. And we're going to go ahead and test this. So let's go out to quotations. Let's look for one that hasn't been confirmed yet. Okay. So let me get rid of my quotations and let's see if we've got one here. Okay, there we go. Deco Addict. This is sales order 36. Remember that for our title. So we're going to go ahead and confirm this. Okay. And then we're going to go back into our project here and refresh and see if we have one for this, which we do now. Customer follow-up for sales order 36 in 3 days. That's a thing of beauty. So now you have a more complete way to create a record from an automated action. There are some more advanced items that we could do here, including setting a one-to-many on a record. And if anybody wants that, go ahead and drop that in the comments below. Also, if you can think of anything else that you'd want me to show you how to do with Python code with an automated action, go ahead and drop that in the comments below too. Next time, we're going to talk about updating values using Python code, so that execute code option and automated actions. You can do a ton with this again, so I hope you stay tuned in. We'll see you next time. Thanks.